Hey guys, and welcome back to Speak Freely here, where we celebrate the freedom of speech. And today we're returning to Thomas Sowell, and he's going to be talking about the failure of the educational system. Alright, so getting right into it. But before you do, if you like this type of videos, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell to get notifications when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And if you'd like to support the channel even further, you can donate. My PayPal and Cash App link is in the description box below. Also in the comment section. Of course it helps, but you don't have to. You can just like, comment, and subscribe. And all the links to your alternative platforms, my socials, and all the ways to support me or contact me for business is always in the links down below. Other than that, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Alright, here we go.
A woman with a petition went among the crowds attending a state fair, asking people to sign her petition demanding the banning of dihydrogen monoxide. She said it was in our lakes and streams, and now it was in our sweat and urine and tears. She collected hundreds of signatures to ban dihydrogen monoxide, a fancy chemical name for water. A couple of comedians were behind this ploy, but there is nothing funny about its implications. It is one of the grim and dangerous signs of our times. This little episode revealed how conditioned we have become, responding like Pavlov's dog when we hear a certain sound, in this case, the sound of some politically correct crusade. People are all born ignorant, but they are not born stupid. Much of the stupidity we see today is induced by our educational system, from the elementary schools to the universities. In a high-tech age that has seen the creation of artificial intelligence by computers, we are also seeing the creation of artificial stupidity by people who call themselves educators. Educational institutions created to pass on to the next generation the knowledge, experience, and culture of the generations that went before them have instead been turned into indoctrination centers to promote whatever notions, fashions, or ideologies happen to be in vogue among today's intelligentsia. Many conservatives have protested against the specifics of the things with which students are being indoctrinated, but that is not where the most lasting harm is done. Many, if not most, of the leading conservatives of our times were on the left in their youth. These have included Milton Friedman, Ronald Reagan, and the whole neoconservative movement. The experiences of life can help people outgrow whatever they were indoctrinated with. What may persist, however, is the lazy habit of hearing one side of an issue and being galvanized into action without hearing the other side, and more fundamentally, not having developed any mental skills that would enable you to systematically test one set of beliefs against another.
Stopping it there. Okay, I totally agree with him. Educational system has been common indoctrination camp, but I always feel like they were slightly indoctrinating always. I feel like before this sort of progressive woke ideology, stupidity has seeped into the educational system, it was more like creating worker bee drones, right? Like the conspiracy of like the school system, especially like elementary throughout high school, was to create worker bees, to teach and train the citizens how to sit still, how to pay attention, how to follow orders, how to be away from your home for a certain amount of hours. It was to create worker bees, and even though that didn't really work out for some people, the countercultures, but for the most part it was for the country to progress and for the economy to move forward. You can say maybe sneakily just also to make other people richer, but I think before it was to create worker bee drones. Now it's to create these radical sort of wokeist, Marxist, communist, socialist activists to try to basically destroy down the American system as it is now today. And I also agree with him that yeah, a lot of people will grow out of this at some point because they grow up, they get in relationships, they develop responsibilities and mortgages. Some of them have children, and some of them may or may not grow out of this sort of idiocracy ideology, right? That's why I always say, like, I don't think it's a good idea for parents, and I'm not a parent, you can at me, but I don't think it's a good idea for parents to constantly tell their kids they have to go right from high school to university, because I think it's better for them to gain some life experiences and some self-identification or who they are as self before they go into university just to be further indoctrinated. Let them go have lived experiences, let them get a job, entrepreneurs, trades, travel, anything else besides going straight to university, so they have a better sense of self before they go further into a indoctrination camp, right? However, I agree with him that just because you might grow out of it doesn't mean you've developed the skills to think for yourself. And that's why I think this idiocracy of the lack of critical thinking can be on both sides, right? You go from being an extremist from the left, and you can go from there and being an extremist on the right, a fanatical when it comes to liberalism, progressivism. You can become a fanatical when it comes to conservative or Republican or the far right or whatever, right? That's why I never really jives too much with the walk away movement, because I might have missed it, but I didn't like the idea of people saying, hey, walk away from the left, don't blindly follow them any longer, but jump on this bandwagon of the conservatives instead of just blindly follow us. I felt like the walk away movement should have been more of, hey, stop what you're doing and become a critical thinker. Really analyze and question yourself, why do you believe what you believe? And if those things don't fit your standards or your principles anymore, then maybe look over here and maybe we have something for you. But this idea of stop blindly following them and just blindly follow another, I feel like it's really toxic. And you find this in like so many different communities, whether it's left or right. You find this, of course, in the woke community, but you also find this in stuff like the red pill community or the manosphere. Like if you go in comment sections of any video, you can tell who's a part of it because they just regurgitate and repeat the same thing over and over again. It just becomes another cult. So for me, it's more like learn how to critically think for yourself first. And this is why I don't really adapt political labels or labels at all, because eventually they all become mindless cults. You know what I mean? Like become an individualist, stand on your own instead of just jumping from one tribe to the next, grifting from one side to the other. Anyway, let's continue.
It was once the proud declaration of many educators that we are here to teach you how to think, not what to think. But far too many of our teachers and professors today are teaching their students what to think about everything from global warming to the new trinity of race, class, and gender. Even if all the conclusions with which they indoctrinate their students were 100% correct, that would still not be equipping students with the mental skills to weigh opposing views for themselves in order to be prepared for new and unforeseeable issues that will arise over their lifetimes after they leave the schools and colleges. Many of today's educators not only supply students with conclusions, they promote the idea that students should spring into action because of these pre-packaged conclusions. In other words, vent their feelings and go galloping off on crusades, without either a knowledge of what is said by those on the other side or the intellectual discipline to know how to analyze opposing arguments.
I totally agree with that. And I feel like this is why you constantly see these viral videos come out where there's these screaming, banshee, progressive leftist uni student activists who are just screaming emotionally because he said, hear it, get emotional, get triggered, and gallivant out into the open and become an activist that you're supposed to be, right? But then as soon as they get any pushback, any data, any facts, any statistics, any logic, they literally short circuit because they don't know how to respond, because they don't have their own reasons why they believe anything. It's just been dumped into their psyche and just been regurgitated and spewed back out into the public, right? They can't come up with their own reasons, they can't come up with their own logic, they can't come up with anything because they haven't been given the tools to become critical thinkers. I had like a conversation with someone online when it came to the parental control bill that the left has deemed the Don't Say Gay bill, of why I think it's not okay for like a 6-year-old. A 6-year-old doesn't need to know about gender expression and sexuality and all these things about race or anything. And someone literally said, no, they should know about this because they need to become activists at 6 years old. Like, no, a 6-year-old need to be a child. You get one chance in your whole freaking life to be a kid. Well, some people live in a perpetual adolescence, but for the most of us, we get one chance to be a child, and they're trying to strip these children of their childhood because they're trying to create, again, woke cultist activists. Anyway, let's continue.
When we see children in elementary schools out carrying signs and demonstrations, we are seeing the kind of mindless groupthink that causes adults to sign petitions they don't understand, or, worse yet, follow leaders they don't understand, whether to the White House, the Kremlin, or Jonestown. A philosopher once said that the most important knowledge is knowledge of one's own ignorance. That is the knowledge that too many of our schools and colleges are failing to teach our young people. It takes a certain amount of knowledge just to understand the extent of one's own ignorance. But our educators have given assignments to children not yet a decade old to write letters to members of Congress or to presidents, spouting off on issues ranging from nuclear weapons to medical care. Will Rogers once said that it was not ignorance that was so bad, but all the things we know that ain't so. But our classroom indoctrinators are getting students to think that they know after hearing only one side of an issue. It is artificial stupidity.
Yep, I agree. They think they know and they have only one side of the issue. And I want to go back a little bit when he said that these sort of students go out into protests and activists and they don't even know the other side's argument, and that's very much true. A lot of libertarians, moderates, conservatives usually understand the left's or the progressive argument. That's why they usually are so much more prepared when it comes to comebacks and data and statistics and facts, because you already know what your argument is because you just regurgitate and repeat the same thing over and over again. However, they don't really understand the other side of the argument because they're coming from an emotional state. Our side of the argument, or the opposition side of the argument, is just you're racist, you're a bigot, you're transphobe, you're part of the patriarchy, you're misogynist. That's their argument. It's all emotional. And even if you ask them to break that down, okay, what makes it racist, what makes it misogynist, what makes it these things, they can't really break it down because again, it's just these big trigger emotional words that they come from. For them, the other side, or anybody who disagrees with them, is just the stereotype in their head, right? All conservatives are racist, all men are misogynists, all this, all that. Like there's the stereotype or the caricature that they've made up in their head, and that's what they're arguing against, and they're not really actually arguing the fact. And this is why a lot of progressives create straw mans, and they argue the straw man and not the actual thing that we're saying, right? I remember having a conversation with someone in Sri Lanka, and Trump just came up, and she got so mad, so angry, and turned red and was so emotional about how much he hated him and that he was a racist and all these things. And when I was simply trying to get her to calm down and give me the reasons why, she literally couldn't come up with one. And I was literally like, give me one reason, just one. I'm making it easy for you, one reason. And she couldn't come up with one. And she was just like, I just know. And I said, okay, fine. I'll actually make it even more easier for you. I'll give you 10 minutes to Google something and you can show me an example of him being racist. And 10 minutes later, she tried to kind of like change the subject because she thought I forgot. And I kind of just brought it up a little bit more and said like, look, I'm not trying to change your mind about your idea of Trump. What I'm trying to do is show you that you don't have your own personal reasons. And that should kind of open your eyes to the fact that you literally have just been propagandized to believe whatever the media says, because you cannot pull up your own personal reasons why you are so angry or why you think he's a racist. And she literally did say, she was like, honestly, like I was shocked that I couldn't find anything on Google. Like, and she was like, I just know he is, but it is really weird. I couldn't find anything. And I said that you should question that. Then why? Why can't you? So it's just like she was so sure, and it's this whole thing like they know, they have this sort of arrogance of I know, but they don't know. She was so sure, 100% sure she was right, and at the end of it she wasn't, because she couldn't. First of all, she couldn't find anything on Google. I let her Google it. I let her do a bit of research, and she couldn't have her own personal reasons why. And this is the most frustrating thing is like, again, they can't even own their own ignorance. Like if I don't know something, I will just say I don't know. I don't understand why anybody has a problem with saying I don't know. I'm ignorant about that. I have no idea, because most of us are ignorant about a slew of freaking things. Because most of us has a finite time on this planet. We have a finite amount of information and a finite amount of lived experiences. So a lot of us are ignorant about a lot of things. So why can't people just say I don't know? But it feels like the left is so like gang-ho of knowing that their pride is like allowing them to basically look like idiots, because like you're not arguing facts, you're just arguing from emotion. It's obviously that you don't know what you're talking about, and it's obviously that you're just regurgitating, repeating whatever was told to you. I think the more and more I look into the indoctrination of education and stuff like that, is the more and more I'm like happy I dropped out of college 3 different times. And it wasn't because of progressivism, even though I did have one teacher, I think it was a it was a creative writing class or a literature class, And she literally opened the first day of class by saying that she hates all white people and she thinks all white people are racist. That was literally her opening statement. It's no surprise within a week every white student in her class was gone. But I think that was like the most I've ever seen of it when I was in university. But I never stayed in university long enough to see most of it. I would just drop out because like I just have a different way of learning, and university was always really boring to me. But I'm kind of happy I did. Anyway, guys, tell me what you think of this video, what Thomas Sowell said, what I said in the comment section below. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell to get notifications when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And if you'd like to support this channel even further, you can donate. My PayPal link is in the description box below and also in the comment section. Of course, it helps, but you don't have to. You can just like, comment, and subscribe. And I also have a second travel vlog channel. I travel as a lifestyle. I live abroad. If you'd like to know where I am in the world, you can go to the description box below and also in the comment section. Hit the link. Go subscribe to my travel vlog channel. And or follow me on my travel Instagram. My stories is usually what's most up to date. I also have my first reaction channel. If you want to go subscribe to that. A little bit more light subjects, some music, but also some good in-depth commentary. The link's down below. Other than that, you guys have an amazing day. Bye.